Hey guys, welcome back to TomGirl episode 18. We are here with Kelly Rizzo from Eat, Travel, Rock, and she's about to rock your world, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
All right, we're starting out with a very special song here. Everybody watch the video here. Look for this hottie in the bikini that's about to come up there. There she is.
Dear Lord.
So this is Florida Georgia Line's video for Shine On.
Oh, yeah. Good memories. Those were some great memories of that shoot we had in Cancun. God, like 4.5 years ago now.
Wow.
Time flies. They were just, they were decently known because they had Cruise, which was a mega hit, but this was their second single. And, they were just friends of mine. They're like, will you come be in our video? And I'm like, okay, Cancun, sweet. And then now they're like one of the biggest groups on the planet. So, God bless them. They've really come a long way. So
Yeah, amazing what 4 years difference makes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
did you meet them through interviewing for your site or just knew them as friends?
Yeah, both. I did. So some of my first work kind of in the biz was interviewing a lot of country acts and country artists at Joe's Bar in Chicago, which is like the biggest country venue in the whole country. And I met them through some other bands and mutual friends. And we were just, because we were all had so many mutual friends in Nashville and we're kind of on the scene together, we just stayed in touch. And then I don't think I ever actually interviewed them now that I think about it. So I'll have to get that on the books. But that was a fun little shoot though. Get your shine on. Kind of miss that trip. It was a fun trip.
Yeah, well, it was a great video. So go ahead now. We're going to jump back to the intros now. I know we usually intro first, but go ahead and tell everybody where they can follow you on social media.
Well, it's super easy. Everything is at Eat Travel Rock. So Eat Travel Rock, eattravelrock.com, and same thing on Instagram, Twitter, and it's just pretty simple. Eat Travel Rock.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go back to like the early days and how you got this going. So you're originally a realtor.
Yes. God, I was a realtor, and I still have been, I guess. I didn't turn in my license or anything, but yeah, for like 17 years. And I would say several years ago, a little bit after like the market crash and things were just really tough in the industry, I decided to kind of make a little life change. I was just burnt out on real estate. I went through a divorce and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life that I feel like I can contribute something and something that I'm passionate about and can be an expert in, but something that I want to talk about. And I'm like, well, what do I know a lot about that I really like? I'm like, well, food, travel, and music. And then that day, I think I went online. I just bought like eattravelrock.com. And then I started blogging. And then that turned into a lot of the on-camera interviews, like a lot of the country and music interviews, which then turned into a food show in Chicago. And then my manager and I were like, let's just create our own content. And then that's where Eat Travel Rock TV came from.
And then was it a hard process? Did Eat Travel Rock just come to you right away, or was there like an aha moment of, yes, that's my brand, that's what I want to do?
It did. Well, yes, it did in the sense that the name kind of just popped in my head. And I'm like, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's not a lot of people who are like, ooh, what's your blog about?
Right.
I'm like, well, food, travel, music. But what was interesting is that I didn't really think at the time, of course. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll have a blog and, maybe some people will read it. And, maybe I wanted to do more on camera stuff because I had done a lot of that with real estate, actually. But I never really thought at the time that it would turn into like an actual full-time career. Kind of maybe hoped it would have. But this was in the beginning where, blogger, there wasn't, the term influencer didn't exist. Bloggers weren't real. It wasn't like a real job back then. And, certainly like TV hosts and all that didn't really fit into my wheelhouse of like, oh, this will be my actual career and, giving up real estate. So I kind of like how it evolved, and it's always a process. It's always, a work in progress, and it's been fun though. It's been a fun little journey. So.
We like to share for other people listening that may have dreams too of doing something similar to you. Can you talk about the process a little bit? Like, did you start out like with goals or, okay, I'm going to do one post per week, or, you know, how did it kind of grow and evolve over time?
Well, it's funny because I definitely was never that like, okay, I'll be totally honest. I won the biggest slacker award in high school, okay? So I was never like that great, you know, organized, like lesson plan and writing your goals down. It was more of just like a passion thing where I'm like, look, this is what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me I can't do it. Nobody's going to tell me how to do it. Like, I'm just going to go for it. And, you know, I grew up with parents that always were like, you can do anything you set your mind to. There are no limits. You can do whatever you want. So there wasn't really like a fear of failure. I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. And if I fail, then at least it's a learning experience. So there have been a lot of like tweaks and adjustments along the way, but it was not like a set path. It's evolved over time because things change so much, especially in this industry. And with, you know, new careers popping up all the time and, you know, things that didn't, as I said, like influencer, like none of that existed a few years ago. So kind of adapting and learning the industry, and I kind of just go with the flow with like a clear purpose of I'm just going to go for it. And, you know, if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'm going to change my approach and keep going for it. Like, it's not like giving up is not an option.
How do you go about booking the people, your talent, or people that you're going to interview, chefs or whoever, for the show?
A lot of it, I really do like to interview people that I have some sort of rapport with or relationship with, or I know somehow. So they're not all like cold interviews. A lot of times, even if it's a band that I know or I'm friends with, or we have mutual friends, or same thing with a chef or a restaurant. I'll go to a lot of restaurants where, you know, maybe I went to high school with the owner. Like, that was actually one shoot that I just did in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I just shot at this amazing restaurant, but I went to high school with the owner. So a lot of them are not, you know, just kind of random people that I come across. It's usually some sort of relationship is already established.
And then as far as, you know, I've watched all your shows, what kind of crew do you travel with? Is it just one other person? Are you setting up shots yourself, or how do you do
question. So no, I'm not. I've not really been capable. I'm great at like the selfies and the selfie videos on like Instagram and stuff, but when it comes to an actual video production, I'm not the one. So I do have a crew when I'm in Chicago, because my crew is actually Chicago based. It's usually, we still keep it pretty streamlined, and we like to say we're small but mighty, but I'd say it's maybe 4 or 5 people. And then when we travel, usually if we travel domestically, I'll travel with 3 people, and then internationally it's always been me plus 1. So like, for instance, I went to Switzerland 3 times last year, and I went with my producer, who she was a producer at Oprah Winfrey for 7 years, so she knows her way around the camera. And so we do it all ourselves, like on the international trips. I mean, for obvious reasons, you know, sometimes there's not always the budget to send 5 people internationally. So
Yeah. Let's talk about that Switzerland trip a little bit, because it was beautiful. All 3 of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talk about some of your highlights, some of your favorite things, what you're surprised by.
Well, it's funny. Now I feel like I'm like a Swiss expert, because I've been 3 times in like 13 months. But I was so blown away by the hospitality and just how the Swiss, I mean, they really welcome everybody, and they're so, I mean, the hotels and just the efficiency of their transportation systems. It's so top notch, and everything's so nice and new and just high quality. And what I love, though, is that they really are bringing at least 3, if not more, like cultures together in one country, because you have the German part of Switzerland, you have the French part, and then you have the Italian part. And so not only do they, in those different regions, speak either German, French, or Italian, but they all also speak Swiss German, which is like more of the actual language of Switzerland, but then they also retain their Swiss identity. And so it's very interesting and unique how they bring all these different cultures together, but still remain Swiss. So even though they speak Italian in a certain region, they don't identify as Italian. They're still Swiss. And it's really apparent when you're there, like the pride that they have for their country. And it was really beautiful. So, so Switzerland, don't mind if I come back again sometime soon if you're listening.
Let's talk food there.
Yeah.
What food did you love there?
So in Switzerland, they do have a lot of traditional, kind of some borrowed dishes. You know, they have a lot of like veal dishes and stuff, which I, you know, now with my eating habits, I would say I don't eat a lot of like beef or pork or mammals, as I say. So when I go abroad and I'm in Europe, you know, it's kind of hard to avoid all that, because if that's like the national dish of the country and almost every meal and everywhere you go, like there's veal or there's some sort of pork, but you know that it's literally comes from a farm that's like 10 minutes away. It's a different situation than eating it here. So that's a very popular dish, a lot of their veal dishes, but depending on, once again, the area that you're in is going to be influenced more by the German food, the French food, or the Italian food. So it really depends on where you are, but the food was amazing. And one thing I will tell you that a lot of Americans do not know about is Swiss wine. It's probably the best wine I've ever had in my life. And I'm not really a wine connoisseur by any means, actually, but I know what I like. And Swiss wine, their whites, their reds, I've never had anything like it, but they don't export it. So like you can't buy it. And I mean, here and there, I'm sure you can find a distributor, but it's like they keep it really close to the
their
chest.
little
'Cause
secret,
Right, yeah, 'cause
yeah.
they don't produce a lot of it. So if you go
so
there,
good.
you definitely have to try some Swiss wine.
All right, putting that on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chicago native. So tell me some of your, like, if somebody was going to Chicago, where are your favorite spots or places that they should check out or eat or what they should eat?
Ooh, I like this. I like this. God, Chicago's really cool because it's almost run by, there's like several large restaurant groups that almost kind of own the whole city, if you know what I mean. And you can't go wrong with going to any of like the great restaurants from the great restaurant group. So like, for instance, Let Us Entertain You. They're one of like the biggest in the world, or the biggest, but they have like RPM Italian and RPM Steak. They have amazing barbecue at Bub City. They have Beatrix is one of my favorite restaurants for, I mean, they have the best like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and coffee, and cocktails. It's amazing. And then you can go to like the Boca Group, and you go to Momotaro, which is like their sushi concept, or Girl and the Goat, which is pretty world renowned. So God, there's so many. For Italian, I love Formentos. Formentos is amazing. GT Fish and Oyster for oysters. I mean, I could go on forever, guys, but let's just say Chicago just was rated like the #1 foodie city in the world. So the food's just spectacular, and it's hard to keep up with, especially since I've been living in LA now. I feel like every time I go back, there's like 10 new restaurants that just opened in the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, how am I going to keep up? But I certainly try.
Yeah. Well, now talking about living in LA, are we gonna see the site expand more to maybe hitting some of the LA spots, or what are your plans for
Absolutely, and that's definitely part of the plan. Once again, that's just more of a logistical thing. So once I'm, you know, because I've only been here like 6 months now, so I feel like I'm still like getting used to it and kind of getting my feet wet. But as
takes
soon
a
as
while in
I
the city.
do, and I've been traveling so much that I haven't really had a chance to, you know, I've been filming, you know, as I said, in Italy and Switzerland and Virginia and Grand Rapids all in the last 2 months. So I'm like, okay, once I'm here a little bit longer, then I'm going to focus on, you know, bringing some more like LA restaurants into the mix, maybe some like local California travel, like for, you know, weekend getaway, like where can you go if you live in LA, like things like that. So I'm really going to focus on that soon.
All right, we'll look forward to seeing those tips for all of us out here. All right, let's go back to your site a little bit more. Let's talk more about how it grew and expanded. When did it, you know, how did it feel, or when did you start seeing your numbers? Because you have like 45,000 Instagram followers. Is that correct, or is that more now? Like,
no,
like
I
things
think right around there.
Yeah. So just talk about how you grew that and how it was when you watched that grow and develop into what it is now.
You know what? It's so funny because it's so relative, because, you know, you could, you know, talk to somebody that has like 100 followers and like, oh my God, 45,000. But then it's like, I know people that have, friends that have 1 million, 10 million, and I'm like, oh my God, mine's nothing. Like, how can I get to that level? So it's funny because it's all relative, but I will say that as far as being able to use my Instagram as a platform and have it be actual part of my career and have it be, like a moneymaker as well, is I would say that maybe started maybe about 2 years ago or so. But I've really been, I feel like I've been growing it for like maybe 3 to 4 years now. So it's kind of a slow and steady process. If you're not on some like huge mega hit show or, some like reality star, like, where you, or like a musician, or especially with where you've got like a big teen following or something, it's really hard to grow it like steadily. But I've really focused on kind of keeping it within the community, and I'm really engaged more with people that are like foodies or like big travel buffs or music people. Like I don't ever really post anything that's not related to one of those three. So I feel that people that do follow me kind of know what they're going to get, versus, posting a lot of like really personal stuff. Like I try to keep it on task, with everything's either food, travel, or music related. And so, and also like engaging back with those followers. And there's people that have followed me from day one that still like comment on everything, and I always comment back to them. And, and I feel like it's nice to have it be a large enough following where it's, I guess, influential, they call it, but yet, not too crazy big to where I can still feel like, it's a community where I can actually like, people can relate to me and I can relate to them.
I was just gonna say the very same thing. You created this own community, and do they ever like suggest or say, hey, come to our town and try this or do this?
It's so funny. I'll get people in like, Africa or India or something like, oh, I have this restaurant, like come visit. I'm like, okay, I do have, do you have a budget for me to fly to India right now? Like I'd love to, or like in Australia, like, oh, we just opened a restaurant in, in Sydney. I'm like, do you want to fly me to Sydney? Because I'd love to come. Believe me, I would. But sometimes, I think people think I'm just hopping all over the world and I can just do that, which maybe one day.
Right?
That's a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your other goals? Like, would you love to be like, have the show be on Travel Channel or be somewhere like that? Or do you want to keep being, not on YouTube, or what are your plans?
Keep it as small as possible and have as few people watching. Yes, the goal is definitely to have it be, and whether, and it's funny now because with the world, as you know, moving away from like network television onto, having things be so much more internet based, I would be open to being on like a larger platform that's still web based, but of course the goal is to have it on network. And, travel, something like that's great. But I feel like with my style and with my like vibe and kind of what I want, like my message might be like a little too edgy, not as, buttoned up as they want for something like that. So it's really about finding the right fit, and I am working on that. And that is why at least being out here is, the place to be for that. So
yeah, and I think you'll find that market for that, because that's one of the reasons why I started following you. Like I'm not a big foodie, but I love to travel and I love trying food, trying different foods and stuff. And I was drawn to the edge and kind of the sass of your site and just of you, So I like that versus some of, nothing against the other hosts out there, but I related more to you and your style and like,
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, well, and I try to keep it, obviously there's that fine line of still coming across as, an expert where you can actually, people look to you for that advice and for that information, but also keeping it, approachable and relatable, and where people don't feel like I'm lecturing them, or people don't feel like, oh, that's not at my level. Like, if I'm only talking about foie gras and caviar, like every single time, people might be like, okay, well, I can't eat that every day, so... you have to keep it, you have to find that balance. So
yeah, well, you have kind of created yourself as the expert in this, and because of that, you've gotten a lot of TV appearances and radio appearances as well. Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, those were fun. I think my favorite, and actually it kind of goes with us, it was when VH1 had their show Big Morning Buzz live. I did like maybe 15 to 20 segments, and that was in New York, and it was really cool because it was in the old TRL studios.
Yeah.
So that was like, you know, blast from the past, like bringing back like high school memories, like like actually, you know, doing segments in that studio was really cool. And that was fun. I did, you know, and Nick Lachey hosted that, and so I did a ton of like cocktail segments and cool like gadgets and travel items and all this stuff. That was really fun. And we took the entire crew and cast. We got a JetBlue plane and flew from New York down to Austin for South by Southwest. And Rachel Ray was the celebrity guest. There was a musical guest, and then I was making cocktails on the plane. And we did an entire live show on the plane at 34,000 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so that
incredible.
that was an experience that I will definitely never forget. So that
Does
was
that
really
still
cool.
exist somewhere on YouTube or somewhere where people can watch it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's I think I don't know if I found the full episode, but I know there's like clips of it out there. That was fun. I did a really cool segment not too long ago on the Fab Life out here, but then a lot, you know, a ton of stuff in Chicago. And so it's fun, like whether it's I'm on as more of an expert in where a show will have me on, or like a news program will have me on to talk about Lollapalooza, and it's just, you know, a chat like this, or whether it's me doing some sort of like cocktail recipe segment and, you know, like a demo. So it's fun to kind of switch those up.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. So of all the places that you've visited, traveled, where are some of your, across the world or in the United States, top places for food, travel, or musicians, like any of that?
I
Each of your
love it.
categories,
I love
top
it.
favorites.
So, okay, well, I would say Japan is probably my overall favorite. I mean, I've wanted to go forever, but I was even more blown away with how incredible the experience was after I went. And I would say it was just, it's like a culture shock. It's like nothing you've ever seen. And that's the place I'm just so dying to go back to again. So Japan was amazing, and the food's incredible there. I would say also for food, of course, would be Italy. That's the motherland. You know, my dad was born in Sicily, and so I have a ton of family there still, and just going there and going to my cousin's house and having them feed me with like, you know, pasta that they made that day. It's really cool. So Sicily for food, and for music, I would say I'm such like a Nashville girl. Like I love Nashville so much. And even though I guess that's not international, I mean, it's Music City, and there's nothing that comes close to it, where it's like you step off the plane and you're just like bombarded with everything is music, everything is the industry. And it's like how LA, like everything is the entertainment industry. In Nashville, like everything is like the country music industry. And so it's just, I just love the vibe there, and I love the people. And if you haven't been, you need to go.
Okay, so that has been on my list forever, and I've never been a huge country music fan. I go there Thursday, so I'm so excited. I'm going with my childhood best friend, and
my God,
she's never been either. So
I will give you some
I
restaurant
was
recs.
just gonna say restaurants, and then like the best, or not the best, but one of your recommendations for like the best bar place to go hear some live music.
You got to go to Losers.
Losers. Okay.
So it's very industry. It's not like the touristy place. If you want the touristy places, which you should also check out, that's on Broadway, which would be like Tootsie's and The Stage and Legends and, you know, all of the like the honky tonks on Broadway. But then if you want more of like the industry place where the actual like people in the industry go hang out, that'd be Losers or Tin Roof, and that's right off of Music Row.
Alrighty, thank you.
That's what I do. Wouldn't it be sad if I just had like no recommendations for you with anything?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just like pretend to know about this.
Yeah, no, you clearly know what you're talking about. Know your stuff. Well, let's take a break real quick here to do what we do each week here. We name a TomGirl of the week. So this is just a quick one. But she is so cute. So this week it is Millie Bobby Brown, and she wins just because I loved her as Eleven in Stranger Things, and she was just fearless and adorable, and then she just killed it at the Emmys on Sunday. For me, it was just the highlight of the night, in that little dress and spinning around in it. So she gets the TomGirl, from being willing to, you know, have the shaved head as 11 to then dolling it up and looking like this on the red carpet. So there you go, sweetie. Amazing. All right, so back to...
She is cute.
Isn't she?
She's very versatile too.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be
Still
fun
girly,
watching
but still
her.
a
Yeah.
tomgirl, tomboy. Very, you know, she
Yep.
she can do it all.
Yep, exactly. All right, so we here also like to talk about sports, and I was looking at your Instagram. So you're a big snowboarder, correct? Can you
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't start until I was like 20. And now, being a few years older, it's one of those things where I'm not as reckless as maybe I was when I was a little bit younger. So I try to be pretty careful. But yeah, I love it. Love, love, love it.
Where are some of your favorite places to snowboard?
Vail. Vail's my favorite of anywhere that I've ever been. But as far as like snow conditions and everything, and it's obviously, pretty easy for us to get to. As far as breathtaking and the place that I was so blown away by would be Zermatt in Switzerland. So Zermatt was, I've never seen a mountain that has a better infrastructure for snowboarding, or skiing. Just like their chairlifts are all heated.
What?
Yeah. So it's like your butt doesn't freeze.
That's amazing.
They don't even have a lot of chairlifts because they have like all the gondolas, and they actually have like underground or like subways almost that are built into the mountain that will actually take you like up to the top of the mountain. So it's like you never have to be, freezing on a chairlift. It's the most incredible infrastructure I've ever seen. And like the restaurants that they have on the mountain, I mean, it's really something else, as you would expect, in the Swiss Alps. But I would say if you're trying to go somewhere internationally, that's what I would recommend. Otherwise, Vail is, can't lose with Vail. What about you?
Yes. I actually grew up skiing at Copper Mountain down. We used to,
So that's not far.
Yeah, my uncle was in Colorado, so we'd go there each winter, and we kind of skied Copper, Breckenridge, and Keystone. But Copper was the one we skied the most.
I don't think I've done, I've done Breckenridge, and I've done Beaver Creek and Vail several times, and then somewhere else over there. Now I can't think of it. Oh, Steamboat.
And have you gone to a concert at the Red Rocks?
No. No, but man, just listening to even some of the live, recordings there, like where, if you can get them on CD. I mean, it's on CD. God, how old am I? It's one of the venues that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Why does that not happen?
That should be on your show.
Thank you for reminding
There you go.
me.
Yeah. We went. I have never seen a concert there yet. My mom and I just drove through it because we both have always wanted to go to a concert. When we were there wasn't anything, and there was snow, of course, everywhere. But we went. Yeah, it was. I can only imagine how amazing it is to hear a show there.
Yeah. And just stare at the scenery.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, and we also talk fashion here. So let's talk your rocker chick fashion. I know you're a fan of the Fry boots, right? That's one of your things.
I love the Fry boots, and that's the one thing about this summer here in LA. Like, you don't wear cowboy boots as much, or like Fry boots in general, as much as you want. But second that temperature drops below like 70, you can better believe I will.
Don't worry, you
those.
realize people out here, they still pull it when it's hot too. If you love your boots, you still just rock it. Nobody really cares.
Wearing a leather jacket. It's what, like 70 out? It's
the beanies will be out next week and stuff anyway. So
I've already seen a couple. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
But Fry's my favorite. Just anything that's, I still like to wear things that can be a little bit girly, but I mean, this is like, I'm the perfect like TomGirl, tomboy. Like that's definitely my fashion. I'm never really, you can rarely see me in a dress. Hate wearing heels. I'm definitely more comfortable in, boots or Vans or and just like rag and bone jeans and a leather jacket. I mean, that's, keep it simple and like classic, but kind of edge it up a little bit.
That jacket's awesome, by the way, too. So
this is All Saints.
Oh yeah, they have great jackets.
Do. Yeah, everything that they do is really cool. So yeah, this is All Saints, and then I think what's my rails. I can live in rails, like the plaid flannels.
Oh yeah.
And they have like the denim shirts and everything. That brand, I think I probably have like 20 or so of their shirts, and that's probably my biggest like staple or go-to, like rails, Wild Fox, like Bella Doll, Splendid, just like all like the basic pieces that are like comfy and like classic, and you can mix and match.
Layer them up.
I'm not good with like putting together like outfits and stuff. It's like grab, a great shirt, blue jeans and, out the door.
Go. Yeah, you're ready to do the next adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. All right, so before we, well, actually, what I asked, we'll do this first. We'll do the game first. All right, we're gonna play a little bit of a quick game here.
I like games.
So the game is called, you either say I would rock it, wouldn't rock it, or have rocked it.
Okay.
One of them you already answered in the interview, but we'll ask it. Okay, so I did I researched a few things of like top foods in the world, top drinks in the world, and that kind of thing, just because that's your thing. So one thing I found was snake wine from Southeast Asia. So it's actually a bottle of wine and there's a snake like inside of it. Good.
I'd probably rock it. I think I'd yeah.
All right.
Like being adventurous.
Oktoberfest in Germany.
Oh, would rock it for sure.
Fried spiders in Cambodia.
Would definitely not rock it.
Austin and the Austin music scene.
Have rocked it. Yep.
The Def Leppard new tour that might be out.
Oh my gosh, would rock it. And I've seen them live before, but oh God, I was so obsessed with them in like 88.
Good stuff.
Man. Yeah, would rock it for sure.
Awesome.
Hope to rock it.
All right, and last one. This is called Black Ivory Coffee, and it is the world's most expensive brew, and it's made from beans eaten by Thai elephants and then plucked from their droppings.
Wouldn't rock it. I have my limits.
There you go.
Yeah.
Draw the line.
I'm glad I know that it exists.
Right. I know. I had no idea to say either. I'm
So
like,
they're
oh,
charging a lot of money for something that comes out of elephant poop.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a ridiculous amount. Yeah, and it was like, okay.
Love it.
There you have it. Something out there.
Fun.
All right. Okay, so lastly, just to wrap up, do you have any advice for other people out there who, are trying to build their own brands like this or, get their companies going? Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for even letting me address that topic because it's funny because, as I said, it's all relative. Like I'm still looking to advice from other people that have, built amazing brands. But at the same time, like I've learned a lot as well. And I think that you just have to kind of definitely find your voice, because I know a lot of people that have said to me, they're like, I just want to start a blog. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? Well, I don't know. Like, I like this and I like that. And, I like, this sounds fun. And maybe like fashion and lifestyle and food and cooking and like homeware. I'm like, okay. Like, I know mine's a little bit diverse, but it's still something that kind of goes together. So find what you're passionate about, and you can't just be passionate about it. You have to like be able to speak to it in an educated manner and find something you're passionate about that you can talk about, and then stick to that, and then like find your voice within that. Like, what separates you? What makes you different? Because in this industry right now, like everyone wants to be a blogger, everyone wants to be an Instagrammer, everyone wants to, get to that level where they can like make some money off this, and it's so saturated right now. So you can start a blog or start an Instagram, another food Instagram or whatever it is, but unless you do something differently, you're not really going to stand out, especially if you're like trying to start now. So by all means, if it's something that you want to do like as a hobby and like the blog is just like your way, like you love to write, then go for it. But still like find your authentic voice, because people can tell if you're not being authentic. And it is very easy to spot somebody who's just like, kind of copying somebody else's style. And if you stick to what makes you authentic, and once again, if you believe in it and you believe in yourself and you just keep working at it and working hard, like, then don't listen to whatever anybody else is going to tell you. Somebody's like, oh, well, there's already people doing that. It's like, who cares? Find your own way to do it, and then do it, and then enjoy it and have fun. And like, don't listen to all the negative like naysayers out there, because there's going to be haters no matter what you do. And if you just like stay on the right path and like just stay positive and surround yourself with other people like in your industry. Like, I have a lot of really great like food blogger friends, and we always like support each other, and we always like go to each other's events and like help each other and like look to each other for, certain things that are on trend or maybe now out of trend and things like that. And if you find like your own little community within the community, then that helps too.
And I feel like some people out there listening may want to ask you, like, as far as you talk about the crew that you travel with, and so what about when they're just starting, finding the revenue, the income to be able to maybe bring somebody along for camera and for those other technical things that you need? Any advice for that?
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that now brands are getting a little bit more, whether it's a brand or just an audience, is getting a little bit more flexible with what they will accept and what they think is acceptable for like television type of programming or viewing. Because like for me, for instance, I'm still very strict about, I only want like a professional crew. I don't put a lot of, I'm not going to post like an iPhone video on my YouTube. Like I like to have a brand consistency and a very high quality, product like across the board. But a lot of brands now with budgets, like sometimes a brand or let's say a restaurant or something like might not be able to afford, my crew coming in, but they'll also be fine with maybe having something that's not as high quality, but that's, they don't have to pay as much for, because there's different levels of influence too. Like sometimes if a person has 500 followers, but those are 500 really, really engaged followers, sometimes that's more important than a person who has 100,000 followers with people that aren't that engaged. So, and I mean, if you look at YouTube now, I mean, look at so many of these like YouTube stars that just have a camera. Like I would just say, you don't have to have a crew, but get a good camera. And you don't have to, have all this like crazy high production. But if you want to do something yourself, like if you have something to say, like, create a studio in your home or like a corner that looks nice, do what so many of these like other like vloggers are doing, just get a good camera and then learn like simple editing software, and you can still create something that looks good enough to where you'd be proud to put it out there. And you don't have to have a huge budget to get started. And especially now with like GoPros, I mean, I've done so much with GoPros and drones. Like I just got an amazing drone for like $700 that I can take with, I can literally put it in my pocket. But I just did like a photo shoot the other day, like with my drone. And like I'm operating it myself, and it's like the coolest footage ever. And I didn't have a crew for that, and it didn't cost me that much. And like there's so much great equipment right now that's not pricey that you can still like, let's say you want to do some travel vlogging, like you don't want to sit in your home, you can still get it like a couple cool little cameras and learn how to do it yourself and just put it out there. And once again, there's a lot of competition now. I mean, it's like, if you're having the idea, so did 100 other people. But if it's what you want to do, don't let it discourage you. Just find a way to do it differently, and people will watch.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing and giving
you
all these
for
insights.
having me.
Any last words you want to say? Anything I didn't talk about that you want to mention?
I babbled on. I mean, I talked so much. I think
great.
I covered a lot, but I mean, you know what? Like, I just want to say, like, I love this format. I was very excited to be on your show because I just, I love it. And I think you do such a great job. So thank you for having me.
Thanks.
And hopefully we get to do something fun together again.
I would love that. I would love it because like you talked about the
Maybe
community.
involving food.
Yeah, would love that.
Let's just throw it out there.
One of my favorite things about the show so far has been, since it is just new, but meeting everybody, and each person has so many, so comes from such a different world that I love. Sometime in the future, I would just kind of want to get that group together because there's, girls that love their wine, and then there's the musicians, and then there's you, and then there's like a jewelry designer. There's all kinds of people that are just like a fun group of people.
You know where to find me.
All right, sounds good. All right, well,
JJ.
tell everybody again where they can follow you at one more time.
At Eat Travel Rock. Very simple. Instagram, Twitter, and eattravelrock.com.
All right, and we'll be here again next week, so we'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.